Alright, so I'm back. Had to deal with somebody at the door. Alrighty. So, damn, they must be doing some construction out there. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Returning back to work. And noticing that not only are people not being trained, not doing their job, I'm asked to give feedback. In fact, store manager sent out a text a few days prior to them asking me in person for feedback again. I've been getting bad reports about so-and-so. I'll have your back 110%. I won't take disrespect to my management. Like, I'm just laughing because when you hear how this turns out, you're going to be like, damn, somebody can't practice what the fuck they preach. So, I didn't feel comfortable responding to a text that all the managers have to see. I don't feel that is appropriate. I feel like you should go to each person individually and ask them for the feedback. Read their shift notes, I guess they felt like that was maybe an easier way to get feedback. But it's like pitting people against each other in an open setting, which is not a good idea. But whatever the case may be. So I waited till I got to work. And I said, I told him the truth. Other than him being on his phone, which they already knew, and me having to find him, which they already knew because other people had reported that, he wasn't disrespectful to me, and I have not seen that behavior. But I mentioned the individual who I had seen that behavior with because other people had spoken up about him to me and what he had did to me. And I mentioned all that. They're like, oh, you got to work with him. We're going to have a talk with him. So they claim to have had a talk with him. I did hear them say things like, people report you speak to them like a child. And so me and him have actually gotten along a lot better, but there's still room for improvement. But my point is, the one lady who wrote a statement and still, expressed concerns about working with him is still being made to work with him. So that is a standard that you'll see was not applied to me. Alrighty. So this store, every time I come in to close, there's so much work for me to do that clearly should have been done during the day. You have a store manager, an assistant manager, and often 2 shift leads and a team member. All these people, they're during the day and they cannot get stuff done. I know when the deliveries come. They come on certain days and at certain times. So there's no excuse why stuff is just sitting in the walk-in. We can't sell stuff that's sitting in the walk-in. It spoils that way. Dates are not being checked. It's just not a good look. So there's issues with inventory. So what I would do with my shift reports is write everything down that I've done. I'd break up the different sections of the store and what was accomplished in each section, so people can get an idea of how to run a ship, how you're supposed to focus on all the operations and do the priority tasks that need to be done. So I would mention how, I couldn't even walk in the walk-in. And so I had to organize it. I had to put out 4 totes of merchandise. That's a lot. And I noticed that as soon as I put it out, it sells so fast. Just like, we sell certain hot food in the morning. And the manager would have a production list based off, they said, the sales from the last week or whatever. Okay. Something's not working here where they're telling me it's on the sheet to just put out 1 of each item and it's being sold out like that. And it takes at least 10 minutes to get the next batch prepared. People do not want to wait that long, for something that should be readily available for them. But I'm not going to argue with someone. It's just every shift. Even other people have mentioned this sheet must be incorrect because we're selling them like hotcakes. Yeah, and having to keep going back and forth to the cafe to get more and more of something. Where if you have the proper food handling training, you know food can be held at a certain temperature for a certain period of time. Usually it's 4 hours, as long as it's held within the safe zone. So each product, is different. She, after 2 hours, wants to spoil it out and wonder why she has such high spoilage. You have high spoilage because you're not following the proper time and temperature procedure, and you're not doing your inventory, and stuff is just sitting in, the walk-in, not being sold. So you have to spoil it out. I would find things that were months old in the store sitting on the shelves and have to spoil it out. It was just always so much. They would leave all this trash, all these boxes. The carts that we need would be full of inventory. So I had to unpack the carts just to use the cart to put the inventory out. Make that make sense. The most work that I've ever seen a store manager do is only when another store manager came in to be trained. That is the only time I've ever seen them get off their butt and do some work. They're always sitting down. That's a red flag when you work in food service. Your manager is always sitting down. It's not that much administrative stuff in the world. And I know that they have conference calls and they have reports and things like that. I don't expect them to just jump on the line, but I do expect them to jump on the line when it's needed, when it's necessary, when there's a line almost out the door and there's only 2-3 people working and there's only one person being stationed to handle the customers at the cashier and the bar. You can't have it both ways. It's like you have to literally ring customer up, hurry up, go make a drink, ring customer. Why? And I've worked at other stores where they would have 2 people, one at the register, one doing the drinks, one in the cafe, or floating back and forth. So there's just been so many issues, right? I'm doing all the work, and then I noticed that why are people getting threatened to be written up if they don't leave at 10 o'clock and the store closes at 10? So that means you gotta leave with the customers. And she's saying, well, at the latest 10:15. Well, why not schedule them till 10:15 if that's the latest? Nope. Because then it looks like if they have to stay till 10:30, that they're just trying to get extra hours. It would be more appropriate if it was scheduled at 10:15. So if they did have to stay another 15 minutes, okay. You can look at the flow of traffic. You can look at the sales reports. At any time that I've had to stay later than the time allotted, I put a reason behind it on my time card. Like, this was my first time closing the bar. This is my first time running the shift. This is my first time doing this. I'll work to, now that I know the process, different things you can do at different times. Still not good enough. Still having to read where if you don't take your full 30-minute break, you're going to be written up. I was 3 minutes early from taking my break. Really? Yeah. So it's just little nitpicking things, but okay, I go with the flow. I do what you ask me to do. And so I had already had some issues with how the assistant manager would talk to me and talk to people, And I feel like if you can give that energy, I can give it right back. So when I would ask them about how to do something, I already showed you. Like, who are you talking to? And so when they would do things like they would put a bag up on a counter, I'm like, is this for delivery? That's why it's up there. Well, then where's the ticket? Yeah. So we've gotten along a lot better now because I've covered for them. Several times they've come late. Almost every shift I've worked with them, they've been late. I never reported them, never made a big deal. I just covered their duties. They're not the only one that's done that to me. Other managers have done that to me, coming late. And I've had to cover them. I had a shift manager text me 12 a.m. They have personal mercy. Okay. Can I come in at 6:30? How do you even know I'm up at 12? I started not to respond. Only because I need the hours. It's like, sure. Or how would you like getting your hours canceled your first week? 2 shifts, 2 days in a row because they're over hours. I thought it was odd that someone would be calling me at 7 o'clock in the morning to tell me, well, the store opens up at 7. So they're calling me at 8 o'clock in the morning after the store's only been open an hour to say, yeah, business is slow, we're over hours, so unfortunately you got picked to have your shift cut. You mean tell me within an hour of you being open, you can determine the flow of the store on one of the most busiest days? This didn't sound right. But it was a clear indication that they were consistently over hours. And I know that they were because I saw an email that came through where the district manager was questioning them. Why are they over hours? Exactly. Now, this was the issue that existed before. The inventory issues existed before I started there. The over hours before I started there, and even how people talk and treat to each other and treat each other started before I even started working there. And the reviewers are not lying. They've been leaving reviews. So what's going on here? And they're even saying that people need training because they're not getting their food correctly. They're not getting their drinks correctly. They're waiting excessively long times for their products. Fortunately, I have all my shift reports as backup. I'm the only one that gives positive feedback to the staff. I'm the only one of the few ones that train them when they tell me they don't know how to do something and they haven't been trained, or they did do something and they got complaints. Well, if you're gonna complain about how somebody did something, you should take the time to show them the proper way how to do it so they don't repeat these mistakes, so they can build their confidence to be like, I can handle this. So I was asked feedback about these, going back to that, 2 employees, and I was directly told to provide the feedback. So I never gave feedback on anyone. I work with them directly. When I have an issue with someone, I go to them directly so we can work it out. Because I don't feel the need to be writing people up all the time and give people a chance to correct themselves and be positive about it. When you're respectful and positive and people always see you busting your behind to work, they will work harder for you. They will respect you. And if they don't, then there's a conversation or a write-up that needs to occur. But give people a fair chance to do things the proper way. Because no one's going to be wanting to work with someone who's just going to yell at them, scream at them, micromanage them, write them up, feel like you're walking on eggshells. And that's all it feels like. I returned back to work on January 23rd. Today is February the 15th. And majority of these issues that I'm explaining to all y'all has occurred since, January 23rd. So, oh my gosh. My allergies are kicking in. I got my window open. I don't know. So anyway. First night, I told the individual, I have to report feedback to you. It's specifically asked by the upper management. So, please, I want to give a good report. These are things you need to do. Please do not be on your phone. If you need to make a phone call, I understand. Let me know so that way I can cover for you and you can step in the back and make your call. He just wants to be on the phone ranting and raving, talking about all kind of foolishness. No. And he agreed. Yet, this is what he did to me. Stayed on the phone the entire shift. I had to ask him several times not to do that. Did not fully do his job. Just left the store. Didn't even check with me. Left me in the store by myself, which I didn't know was a safety precaution. I've worked in stores where I just had to close by myself. Okay. And most of the time, like a lot of the shift managers, we wind up staying later than 10:15. 10:30 to get everything done, to avoid a write-up. Because they say on one hand, if you can't get something done, pass to the next shift. But then they say in the next breath, you didn't get all this done. That's a write-up. Or you didn't get, so you can't have it both ways. And if you're always passing things on to the next shift, people are going to take advantage of that and literally just not do stuff and say, I'll pass it on to the next shift. Other people have spoken up about the need for more people. We started doing DoorDash. You know how DoorDash is. And so we have to get the order, assemble the order, have it ready. So there were a lot of glitches with the software that the company uses. We were literally getting the order as soon as DoorDash was showing up. A few minutes later at the most. Maybe like literally within a few minutes they'd be showing up. Okay, I'm ready for the order. We just got the order. Then we were, it's popular. We're getting multiple orders. You mean tell me a store manager is not going to anticipate that you're going to need more staffing? Possibly. Or at least be there yourself. They never work in the evenings. They never work on Saturday, the busiest day. Be there yourself to make sure things run smoothly. Or have your assistant manager there. I just don't get where assistant manager and store manager only work during the day. They're not working at night. They're not working on the weekends. Well, the store manager, assistant manager does on the Saturdays, but not the store manager. So I feel like, how are you guys knowing what's going on in the actual flow of traffic and everything that has to be done? You're not. You're just assuming, and the way that they make you feel is if you're just sitting on your ass like they do. No. So that was the first day, and I gave feedback, and I put it in my report that it was requested, and I gave the feedback, and that maybe a serious conversation would need to be held with this individual. The very next day, I'm asked by the assistant manager, does this particular person is a different person? Do they come in late? Y'all know they come in late because you see what time they clock in. So some people will not clock in, not clock out. So that was an issue. Well, we use an app, so the app doesn't always work, but you can do it on the computer. So there's really no excuse. And so this particular individual does always come late, is always complaining that they're going to find another job. They don't like what they're doing. And I was told to make sure they don't stand around. Well, I quickly figured out the reason why they're standing around is because they're not given opportunities to do other stuff. Like they explained to me that they know that they can work on the bar, but they're never given that. They're just always told to do cashier or stocking. So rotate people. Everybody has the experience to be able to be in the cafe, another place, whatever the case may be. I asked them to close the cafe. They said that the last time they closed the cafe, they got a whole bunch of complaints. So this tells me, let's get you trained properly. I'm going to show you the correct way. One lady, she got her finger cut because somebody kept leaving knives in the sink. They're not being trained. All these employees, even shift leads, are reporting to me they haven't been trained. So this particular individual that day that I was asked to give feedback on, second day in a row, comes in late. I have to go find them in the back because they're on their phone. And I'm like, what are you doing back here? Because I'm trying to figure out, are they back here for an order or anything? And they're like, oh, I just had to figure something out. And they're just on their phone. So I had to explain to them, please let me or another manager know if you need to make a phone call. I don't have no problem covering for you, but you got to let me know. And I told them, I've been asked to give feedback about you. So I want to give a good report, letting them know this, so that way they can have an opportunity to correct their behavior. So it's something that the company is well aware of. They go on break, they come back late from their break. And then ask, can I leave early? I haven't even had my break. So I asked them, because they say they have a personal emergency. I'm not going to argue with an employee. I mean, I just don't feel like, say, no, you can't leave, and then what if they leave anyway? So I say, okay, I'll work with you. I need to take my break first, and I need you to do these things. And to their credit, I was able to take my break, but I wasn't able to take my break. That's a different story. And they did what they needed to do. No problem. I said, I do have to report this, though. So just so you know. So there's no surprises. And I know somebody's playing games with me. You didn't just have a personal emergency at 8 o'clock at night and you're scheduled to get off at 10 because you were already on the phone trying to figure things out. Whatever. Gave that feedback as reported, as requested in the shift notes. Now, 2 days in a row, because of the huge number of deliveries and everything I had to do, I was not able to take my break. I had to just clock out and work through my break, which I've seen people do. I've seen people stay off the clock at night. Just get everything done because you don't want to hear anybody's mouth. You don't want to be accused of not doing things, all the stuff, and then saying, well, I don't understand why this wasn't done. But we're told to just pass it to the next shift. So which one is it? So I decided when I got home that night to send an email about these two and saying, you guys already had knowledge about this. I'm very tired. I have to stay late because they want to leave early, or they leave without telling me. I have to work through my break because of the flow of work, and I offer suggestions. And they say they're not being trained. Can we please get some hours? Can you please talk to the district manager and the other manager to see if we can have some hours allotted to deal with the deliveries, because it's only going to get more popular, and to deal with this inventory issue, because I'm spending way too much time trying to find things that are not in the store clearly. Never seen them in the store. They're not in the store. Too much time trying to find inventory that should be on the floor, but it's not. Too much time just trying to find inventory, period, because it's in boxes, hidden behind boxes, behind more boxes. Doesn't make sense. And when I got to work the next day, I was told, oh, you sent a lot. We have to process it, but we'll have a meeting. Same thing I always hear. Never happens. Did not occur. So finally, the third day, I actually got to take my break. But the shift manager doesn't know how to make cafe food. Doesn't know how to make coffees, doesn't know how to make lattes, espresso, all these things that he, as a shift lead, should know how to do. You can't be a shift lead without knowing how the team member job is supposed to be done. Because how are you going to tell them how to do their job? And then you have to provide coverage, and you may have to jump in and assist, and you can't even do that. All they wanted to do was stocking. And then I had to explain to them about DoorDash because they weren't trained on that. I said, look, I know your peak times. I've been doing this for the past few days since we started it. And I've been doing this longer at the previous location I worked out. Here are your peak times. Have this person, the same person who played games with me the night before by coming in late, leaving early on their phone, have them assist you, but also have somebody assist me up front, because I'm told that I got to be out of here at 9:30. 30 minutes, not enough time to break down the bar, clean the bar, and do all the stuff. Sweep, mop, take out the trash, everything that needs to be done. So there's some stuff that you have to do in advance. You know, your stocking and things like that. But even still, it's just realistically, I've asked other shift leads and baristas, were you able to get out at 9:30? And rarely are they able to do so. So this is not something that just occurs with me. It occurs with a lot of the employees, because you don't want to ignore the customer. And depending on who's running that shift, that will dictate whether or not you can do what you need to do. I asked this individual several times to please have somebody come up there and assist me. I had to ask them several times. I said, look, please make sure that at 9 o'clock you have somebody up here, because I have to close the bar, which means I cannot serve the customers and close the bar at the same time. That did not occur. 9:03, I'm still having to ring customers. At 9:30, he's still having that individual stock. 2 people stocking at the same time. So who's doing the cafe? I have to run back there. Who's doing DoorDash? I have to jump in with that. He even said, get this, I'm just going to wait until they arrive. What? In his previous job, they do DoorDash. So you know that he knows better. But this is what I have to deal with. And I had to tell him so many things that he says he was not told. You know, they want a certain report done by 8. They didn't tell him, they didn't tell another shift manager, but you're only telling me. Why not use group chat so everybody knows this stuff? Just another example. So I'm tired. I come in. Oh, and also, I got scheduled back-to-back shifts, which they do to people, the store manager. Now, the email that I got said the assistant manager posted the schedule. Which one is it? So that's why I spoke to the assistant manager when I came in the next day. After 3 days of going through this, I documented everything and gave it to them. You can't tell that I'm getting fed up. You can't tell that I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm having to stay late because of what people are doing. I'm having to go over their work, redo their work, provide feedback on them, deal with DoorDash, and everything that you guys have asked me to do. Just so the store is closed properly. Nope. No concern about me working off the clock. No concern about me working through my break. And no concern about the feedback. Now, they did write the first individual up because they had just given him a verbal warning prior. How many times do people have to report? I've reported personally twice on him. Other people have reported several times on him. Come on. So I actually took the time to write an email to say how I don't like to write people up and what my leadership style was in terms of getting them to correct their behavior by coaching them, developing them, training them, working alongside with them, providing feedback, positive feedback, verbal and written, so the company sees it and they see it and they feel better about their job. Not a word. But I did that because it clearly shows how I treat people, how I talk to people, and how I deal with them. The manager just didn't like the fact that I was highlighting all the inconsistencies in the store in my shift notes and in my emails to them, because it then creates a paper trail. They always want to act ignorant of what's going on. You know, when the phones kept glitching and shutting down, they respond, that's interesting. It didn't happen on our shift. So fucking what? You didn't have the amount of orders that I had, did you? No, you did not. So cut the bullshit out. Or trying to act like you don't know how to do something that's rudimentary. So luckily, guest relations and the technical team was on my side because they had to come pick the phones up and reprogram them. They had already pushed updates. We had already went through all that. Yeah. And I had to mention how every call, every order, I have to call the customer and let the customer know that the stuff is out of stock. And since I can't replace it or remove it from their order through the phone, they didn't tell me you could do it through the computer. Could I give them an adjustment? You know, could I offer something else? You should offer another substitute so you don't lose a sale. And people feel good that you actually called them. Hey, I have your order. Unfortunately, I do apologize. We don't have this item. Can I please replace that for you so you don't lose a sale? Because some people just cancel the whole order, and that's happened. You know, or some people say, okay, just take that item off. Not an issue. And when I mentioned that, they responded, oh, well, we're going to sit down and talk because this can't be possible. Maybe a few things. No, you know it's guaranteed 50% of the time we don't have the item that we say that we have. And so I read the standard operating procedures about inventory, when it's supposed to be counted, when it's supposed to be done. It's no way that it's being done, not with all these issues. So again, it just highlights what the store manager is not doing correctly. And they just recently promoted the assistant manager from a shift lead. So you think that they're going to speak up against the person that promoted them? Really? Well, now we get to the good part, the tea. I'm drinking passion fruit juice, but this is the tea here, the big kicker. So, when I come in, so I didn't get to leave the store until 10:15, even though I was supposed to leave at 9:30. Because of having to still bring up customers and all that bullshit. And he did not know what he was doing. DoorDash drivers were pissed. I said, it's not me. Y'all know when I'm on it, I'm on it. So they were pissed, you know. When I got to work, well, I got home that evening. So it takes me an hour to get home. Unless I just pay for an Uber and it takes 20 minutes. I should have just paid for an Uber, but I'm trying to save money. So I got home. I don't know if you ever worked a night shift. It's hard to just go to sleep. I took my shower, I laid in my bed. It took hours before I could fall asleep, knowing I gotta get back up in the morning. So I would have to get up at 5 a.m. and leave at 5:30 to make it there before 6:30, because I'm always there early, because I never know who's gonna show up late at the shift. And I want to get everything done. So I took an Uber that morning. I'm exhausted. You can't tell, because I'm on it, on everything I need to do. It was non-stop busy. Even the assistant manager said they felt overwhelmed with how busy it was with the deliveries, the cafe, the front area. We have so many different options for people to order stuff and buy stuff from us that you got to be able. She had to spend most of her shift being up front ringing people up, because there just wasn't any way for the barista to do it or me to do it. I'm in the cafe and there's orders are coming, which is great. We got good business, you know? And so she thanked me because I got everything done and above and beyond. It was her first time actually seeing me in action, seeing that my shift notes match up with everything, because anything that I put in my shift notes, I do. I do my shift notes in advance, so that way I know it's already done. The oncoming shift is well aware of what needs to occur, and it gives me a checklist to make sure I get everything done. When the store manager assign themselves as a shift lead, why would they do that? That's like taking away hours from the actual, because they're not paid hourly. So you're working hours that could have been given to an actual shift lead. And there's always an issue with that, because, you know, she's like, well, I'm just going to fire this person and maybe I'll just hire a new person. But I want to make sure you guys get 5 days a week. None of us are getting 5 days a week. I put that in the email. Since you mentioned about the 5 days a week, yeah, we should, because we have obligations. And sometimes with the way my schedule keeps being canceled or altered, or I'm just giving 3 days or 4 days, I wonder if I need to get a second job. Because other people that work there have second jobs, you know, and it's just, there's no consistency. There is no consistency. She gives hours to whom she wants to give hours to, and it just doesn't make sense. Whatever. So I mentioned to her, I said, Brianna, you're killing me, you know, with these hours back to back. She said, I don't do that. That is the store manager, Nor. She's doing that. I'm like, okay. I need to have a discussion with her. So then I noticed, hey, my den training needs to be finished, my modules. All I did was send her an email and say, the delivery component, I would like you to please complete that and check it off for me, because, you know, I've been doing this since I've been here, and I've been doing this very successfully by myself the past 2-3 nights. Well, since we started, I've done it routinely. If it says observe, I need to see you do it. These were their exact words. So it doesn't say physically observe. There are many ways you can observe something. You can be told about something. You can actually see something. You can perceive something. So I just felt it was redundant, but I was still polite. I said, okay. No problem. If you need to physically see me doing something that you are, in fact, knowledgeable of me doing, that is fine. Please let me know when this occurred. Never responds back. We'll set aside a meeting. We'll do it this day. Nothing. Just responds back, you know, the little 3 dots. Yes, if it says observe, I need to physically see it. So I said, okay. Since you want to focus on the word observe, I'm going to look up the definition. And I did. And I sent back definition. I said the meaning of observe is to see or perceive something. Perceiving means to be made aware of or conscious of. So if you still need to do that, that is fine. Have a good weekend. Now, they didn't like me being technical, but they were being technical. I don't felt that my response was inappropriate. I wasn't being smart. I was being to the point. And I was tired and fed up with a lot of things. Mainly them. So they text back, please don't do that. We're going to have a conversation. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. This is on Friday. So when I come in Monday, that could have been, hold on. Oh gosh, that could have been the perfect time to have that conversation before the customers are in the store for us to open. Nope. They wanted to wait till 10 o'clock, almost 10. So the store manager says, I need you to sit down with me and Eleanor. Okay. I already know it's coming. This is what I didn't expect. So I already knew that they had an issue with what I wrote. Okay, you can have an issue. And if you want to give me a verbal based off that, that is fine too. But here's what they did, and I was not going to have. They started the meeting off. So why do you think it was appropriate to send me that email? As soon as I try to explain, they start cutting me off. They start yelling at me, over talking me. I asked them, are you going to allow me to talk? You're asking me a question. I'd like to respond to it. You need to lower your voice. I'm not the one yelling. You're yelling. No, it's you. They're trying to start arguing. I already know the games that they're trying to play. So I'm like, She said, the customers are giving me dirty looks. And so I asked her, do you think this is a conversation we should be having in front of the customers? We could be having it at the manager's desk or in the back. They continued to be nasty and snap at me. I said, I was exhausted when you scheduled me back to back. Well, why didn't you say anything? I said, because first of all, I wanted to make sure I wanted to see if I could manage working a back-to-back shift before I tell you I cannot do something or don't want to do something. Second of all, the schedule said that Brianna posted it. That's why I said something to her. This is the first time now being able to sit down with you. Oh, she didn't like that. And continue. Then she played games with me by saying to the assistant manager, she's being loud, isn't she? And I'm saying it the way she was saying it. She's being loud, isn't she? Do you think the assistant manager is going to sit there and say, no, store manager, you're being loud? No, they're not. So they're like, yeah, she's being loud. I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. The two of you are not about to gang up on me. Not here, not now, not ever. And then in front of the customers, I don't think so. So I said, you asked me to do something that deviated from what the modules were saying. And I go by the book. Told me it doesn't matter. It's what I say goes to the store manager. I said, so even if it deviates from what is the written policy or how something is written, yes, good to know. I wrote everything down. Well, here's the kicker for the verbal warning. They said, well, I got 2 reports from 2 team members that they don't want to work with you, that you talk to them like a child, and you think that you're better than them. In my head, you're projecting. You are projecting, darling. Okay. I didn't even have to ask the name of the 2 team members because I already know the names of the 2 team members because they're the only 2 people that I've been working with consistently. The same 2 team members that I had to give feedback on, that you requested, not that I even offered, that you requested, and the same 2 team members that I had to recommend have disciplinary action. We've been through this before. So I already knew that that was lies. And then she said, and yeah, your text message, I got 2 messages from shift leads. They didn't appreciate it. Oh, could one of those shift managers be one of the managers that I spoke up about? And I mentioned that. I said, well, when I worked with this shift manager and I addressed these concerns, nothing was done. So you guys, I said, you can't have it both ways. You can't say to me that I need to jump in and help him run the shift if I'm in charge of the bar and he's in charge of the shift. And then tell me in the next breath, you shouldn't be running the shift. You should be just focused on what you're supposed to do. It's so much double talk. Yeah. But I know the games that they're playing. I'm not feeding into it. Very hard to keep your composure and keep cool. I did. So at lunch, I just took a very long walk and I started not to come back. And I said, no, this is what she wants. This is what she's clearly trying to do, because she has no justification to write me up for anything, because I'm never late. I never call out. No, I don't break the rules, and I go above and beyond, and it shows. So think that would be the end of that, right? Wrong. Well, this is what got her. She's like, well, it's a verbal, so you don't have to sign it. First of all, anytime you're given any type of documentation, whether it's a verbal, if it's a verbal, it's written. So obviously it's a written verbal warning. I am going to sign that. And you know why? Because this has a box where I can give feedback. And in my feedback, I just put, this is not true. I've been nothing but professional with everyone. And this is just retaliation, because it is. It is. And they're like, we don't want emails from you. We want just conversations, because you don't want a written record. Don't ask me for something if you don't want to receive it. And if you have suggestions, we just need to have a conversation. I'm not suggesting anything anymore, because it falls on deaf ears and you clearly don't care. That's what I said in my mind. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to let it go. But I already know to watch myself, because clearly they're trying to create a case to get rid of me. And they're trying to get rid of me because they know that I'm doing their job. And there are certain things that I've highlighted about what they're not doing correctly. So they took me off closing the shifts now by stating these two people, the same two people that I had to get feedback on and all this shit, don't want to work with me. But that wasn't the standard held with the other shift lead when multiple people spoke up about not wanting to work with him because of how he talked to them and treat them. Just like the same standard wasn't held with the COVID. The same standard is never held with anything. So the next day, yesterday, I came in. Well, first of all, I was supposed to leave that day at 2. So since they said they did not want anybody staying late whatsoever, I made sure everything was done. Before 2 o'clock, I let the team member know to let the assistant manager know that I was leaving, that I'm going to be leaving at 2. They already know that I'm leaving at 2. So it's up to them to make sure that they have coverage. They can read my shift notes. I'm not staying past 2 o'clock to update anyone to do any of these things anymore. So at 2 p.m., I put the ticket up for the drink. I clocked out. I saw that she was up there in place. I left. She can read my shift notes. It's 2 o'clock. I got to go. If she wanted to be updated about my shift, she could have came to me because I clearly can't leave the bar to go to them. I come in yesterday, and now that the store manager is training another manager, so she's all nice and polite when he's around. So I come in, I'm like, hello, everyone. And she's like, oh, hello, like trying to be nice. Soon as he leaves, here comes the store manager. I need to talk to you in the back. I'm like, here we go with the bullshit. So I get back there. I need you to physically let a person know when you are leaving so you can report, so you can update them. I mean, don't you think you should let the person coming on board know? I said, excuse me, what time was I scheduled to? 2 o'clock. James did not come in till 2:30 because that's when he was scheduled. I said, so you mean to tell me I was supposed to stay off the clock for 30 minutes to update him? No, you're right. And I said, and my shift notes were done. And they were done well in advance prior to 2 o'clock. So you and the store manager, anybody could quickly access that and know what I did not do. Right? She said, right. Now here comes the store manager trying to jump in, being nasty. Well, you stayed at 10:15 any other day, so why didn't you just stay late then? Excuse me, but did you not ask me not to stay late? Oh, yeah, right. Y'all got to stop with this. And then having two people try to talk to you at the same time. If the store manager is having a conversation with me, it should just be the store manager. If the assistant manager is having a conversation, it should just be them. I don't need two people trying to talk to me at the same time and trying to be like 2 against 1. Are you kidding me? So I already knew. So she saw that I was correct and she had to admit that. So as I'm walking away, she's still talking about the shit. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to kill this with kindness. Even the customers were like, wow, you're so happy, you're so positive. I said, because I'm not going to let anything ruin my day. You guys have a great one. And that's when I decided, I'm not going in there today. I cannot do it. I'm not going to do it. No. And I decided so I asked for a copy of the write-up. You'll get that from HR. And we're sending this to HR right now. Oh, really? Okay. So from your behavior 2 days in a row, yelling at me, snapping at me, accusing me of all these things, it's all because you felt offended because I took up for myself. Conflicts happen. If you don't like something, you work through it, you move on. And that works in my favor because they try to mention, yeah, and you had an issue on the first day. I said, was that issue not both ways? And was it not addressed and worked through? And have there been issues? No, there have not. So I see the game that they're trying to play. Every day you're going to do this shit to me? I don't think so. So I'm at the point now where not only am I going to email both of their supervisors and HR, I'm just going to go straight to the top of the food chain because what do I have to lose? Because at this point, I'm made to feel like I shouldn't be there. And I'm not going to say that I don't feel like being there because that's the easy way out because I'm not asking to be transferred anymore because of issues with the store manager. I'm not going to say that I don't feel comfortable coming to work. I'm going to say, look, I'm coming to work. I'm looking forward to coming to work. I would like this resolved and I like opportunity to address it with management without being cut off, without being yelled at, without all these things happening to me. And if that's not the case, just give me my termination papers. Have a great day.